Hello, 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 everyone. Watagwan, Watagwan. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday today. Got a pretty good show for you guys. Shout out to Igwe's daughter. Shout out to Skincare Do's and Do's. Welcome to the show. Shout out to the Positive Therapist as well. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. Yes, I like that. Nice and easy Sunday. Okay, I agree. Yeah, Super Soul Sunday. I like that as well. All right. So today's show is about someone who, like most of us, has struggled with their weight for most of their life. Many of us can identify with that. I know I can. Now, this individual is famous. His name is Quinton Aaron, famous from that movie, The Blind Side, true life story. Now, he's making some good progress regarding weight loss. He's lost 97 pounds over the past year, actually less than a year. So this begs several questions, right? How quickly did he lose the weight? Was it safe? How did he do it? Did he do it the right way? Is he doing it the right way now? Will he keep it off? What are the reasons he has struggled with his weight? How did the quarantine help or hurt him? These are all questions I figure can help anybody with their weight loss journey, right? Whether you're trying to lose the weight or you've lost it and you want to keep it off, or you have a friend that needs to lose the weight. Now, this is not the first time Quinton's come in the news regarding weight. In 2014, he was kicked off a flight because he weighed 559 pounds at the time. This is a very tall guy, 6'8", but 559, that's pretty big. It's pushing 600 pounds, right? An NFL offensive lineman is like 300, 330, stuff like that, 350 maybe. But that's a professional athlete doing a ton of activity, consuming a ton of calories. And even then, when those guys retire, they tend to shrink drastically, from 330 down to 250, 280, 230, even though these guys are tall, like 6'4", 6'5", 6'8", that kind of a thing. So his weight is clearly an issue, but he got kicked off the flight in 2014. He was very good about it. I saw an interview with him from 2014. He was very humble. He said, it's a wake-up call for him, because he was very embarrassed. He just grabbed his stuff and left. He was dreading it, he said, when he got on the flight, because he noticed the plane wasn't very big and he was taking up 2 seats, right? And per safety regulations, you have to fit in your seat. The seatbelt. Granted, they have the seatbelt extenders, but apparently it was a full flight. So he grabbed his stuff and he left. But as he said, it was pretty embarrassing, right? Very embarrassing. He thought, or he claimed and stated publicly, this was a wake-up call. He was going to lose the weight. Fast forward, he's pretty much the same weight, 550 at his peak, so only 9 pounds difference, right? I know we've spoken about this before, Biggest Loser, all these other things. A lot of people, when they lose a lot of weight, they gain it back. I lost 65 pounds, I put it back on. So I can identify again. I think most of us can, right? Now, he said during the quarantine, he got out of control. I know you guys have heard of they call it the quarantine 15 or the quarantine 30, depending on the person. So he put on quite a bit. He was just eating crazy amounts of food, right? And almost emotional eating, I would say, because even he couldn't fully explain why he was doing what he was doing. There's multiple servings of bad things, right? Candy, pizza, what have you, just multiple servings. It seems very unnecessary. It's not like he was starving, right? So now he's lost 97 pounds, right? So on the face of it, that sounds great. But he said he started losing in late 2021, which means he's lost a ton of weight very quickly. And for those of you guys who might remember, new to the show, that's going to fall in that extreme weight loss case, right? So let's say he started 3 months to go, or let's call it 6 months, right? So 24 months, you got 97 pounds. Right? I'm going to divide that by the 24. So that's 4 pounds per week on average, right? So this is over 6 months, assuming it's 6 months. He didn't state the exact month. He said late 2021. So I'm actually giving him extra months, right? Because if you make that be even less, like 3 months, that's even going to be crazier, right? So now you're dividing that by not 24, by 12, which is obviously double, 8 pounds per week. That's not good on your kidneys, as you know, that lady, fat girl, fed up, lost a ton of weight and going on to go and organ failure, right? She's on dialysis. Now you can do that for short periods of time, but he says he wants to lose another 60 pounds by May the 10th. Why May the 10th? That's the birthday of his dead mother, right? The article came out February 21st. So again, let's give him extra time. Let's say that's 3 months. Again, you're talking by 12, right? So again, you do the math, and that's going to be 5 pounds per week, right? Again, it's more than double the recommended weight loss, which is no more than 2.2 pounds per week. So if you add what he's going to do to what he did, you have extreme weight loss over, let's call it a year, or a little under a year. That's not healthy, right? That's definitely not healthy. But I'm curious to know, what do you guys think about all the information I've shared? What are your comments? You got questions, your thoughts? Do you want to get on the show? I'll drop the link in here for StreamYard. You can get on stage. If you're camera shy, you can keep your camera off and just talk, right? So there is that. But I'm curious to know what you guys think about that. It's an interesting story. I think it can be used for good. As a matter of fact, he started a anti-bullying foundation several years ago, because he, as a kid, was bullied because of his weight, right? So he knows that's what a lot of people go through. Here's a good point by the positive therapist. He's setting unrealistic expectations for himself as well as unhealthy goals. Yes, that is true. That's a great way to summarize it, unrealistic expectations as well as unhealthy goals. So he's putting all this pressure on himself, right? Normally, one of the ways to accomplish the task is to let the public, tell other people. So he's doing that. That part is great. Helps to hold himself accountable, right? That's what he wants. The problem now is that it's pretty unrealistic, right? Because most likely he's going to have to starve himself or do something else that's not healthy, right? Whether it's extreme amounts of cardio, taking some supplement that would help him that could potentially be unhealthy, surgical procedures, who knows, right? Because I think, as we've spoken before, right, you don't gain this weight overnight, right? It's been big most of his life. Here's a great comment by Skincare Do's and Don'ts. I'm wondering why he wasn't prompted to lose weight for future acting roles. That's a great point. That's a great point. Because this has probably hindered him. Because, when you have a hit show, you hope your career takes off. No, he's still goes moves, but nothing as big as The Blind Side, right? But that's a great point, because the fitter you are, when you have a certain body type, you're limited, right? It's like some actors or actresses, based on their face, they're limited to certain roles. Either they're too handsome or too pretty, and people can't take them seriously in the serious role, or they just look like a villain, so they keep doing villainous roles, right? They're typecast, as the saying goes. Him being 6'8" and almost 500 pounds would severely limit the roles he's playing, in a sense, right? So that's a great point. I'm not sure. I don't know what do you guys think about that point? Do you have any thoughts? I'm sure some of you guys follow the Hollywood scene much more than I do. Yes, Igwe's daughter, I agree. He didn't gain the weight overnight, so him trying to lose it quickly won't work. And, this is a common thing, right? Just this week, went to a Walmart, right? I'm going to have some cheat meals, cookies. And yes, you can eat cookies and still be buff and be lean, right? Just got to be strategic with it. And I met a gentleman, I'm in the parking lot leaving. It's late. Went to the gym late. Whole Foods was closed. And he's like, hey, got a question for you. I hope you don't think it's weird. He's like, how much do you weigh? So I told him 195. He's like, how tall are you? 5'11", 6 feet? I'm like, no, I'm only 5'8". And he was shocked. And I was like, yeah, muscle and fat, they weigh the same because everything, I know some people think muscle weighs more or less than fat. Everything weighs the same, it's just physics. But it takes up more space and it looks better, for lack of a better word, right? So as I explained to him, we were chit-chatting. He got out of his car and we had a good chat about that. And he asked me how long it took me to transform. And I told him 1.5, 2 years. And he was like, wow, he wants to transform in 3 months. I was like, yeah, that's not happening. He was doing keto and intermittent fasting, said his wife was cooking for him, said that was helping. I told him, look, 3 months is not realistic. When you see these videos claiming these 3-month transformations, it's a bunch of BS. They just want your money, either directly or indirectly. They're just selling you some nonsense or they're making money off your clicks, your views, right? But they're just selling you false hope. And spent a good 20, almost 30 minutes talking with him, explaining why that can't work. So, yeah. Good point by the positive therapist. That's the struggle for many people, understanding they didn't gain the weight overnight and losing overnight isn't realistic. Yeah. But you're wearing I want instant gratification society, right? I mean, I wanted the same thing. I'm not going to lie. When I lost 65 pounds, I lost it in a year. And it's funny, it's jogged my memory. I remember this was living in Texas, and I was going to do the bod pod each month. It was at some little hospital, and it was like $25. And I remember after a while, I noticed the muscle mass part was decreasing. And I was very weak back then. So I remember going to the gym and I was even weaker than usual. The barbell with no weights felt heavier than usual. That's how weak I was. No exaggeration. Just the barbell with no weights on it was heavier than usual because the barbell felt heavy to me back then, right? Everybody's got to start somewhere. And I remember on a hunch, I was doing some research back then, increasing the protein. I left everything else the same. And the next month, the muscle, it had stopped, then it went back up. And I always remember that, right? So the gaining the weight, I mean, I definitely didn't do it great. I lost 65 pounds in a year. That's definitely not the way to go about doing it, right? I mean, that's not terribly bad in the sense because it's a little over, actually, it's still under 2 pounds a week. So actually, I guess I was fine. But unfortunately, I put it back on again. So there's that. Didn't know what I was doing when I was then trying to bulk up to get muscles. I got some muscles, but I also got fat. This is a great point, great question, I should say. Isn't it easier for men to lose weight than women? Not saying it'd be easier for him, but easier than if you were a female. Yes, men have higher levels of testosterone and more muscle mass. It's a lot easier. It's not an accident when you see these transformations, 300 pounds, blah, blah, blah. A guy can go from that to looking buff, like super lean, abs looking great. I remember one of my coaches, he took a guy who was like 300 pounds down to a six-pack. Right? It's not this guy was 18 or anything like that. It's definitely harder for ladies to transform that way. Similarly, when women are worried about going to the gym and getting bulky and muscular, that can't happen. You don't have enough testosterone. Just think of all the men in the gym trying to get muscular who can't get muscular, who fail at it, right? If you're going to lift weights and you're a lady, you're not going to get muscular. You're going to get sexier. That's what you're going to get. So very good question. Another good point. Yeah, transformation takes time. It is what it is. You can't speed that transformation up, right? Well, you can, but again, it's going to be unhealthy. And you most likely are going to bounce back. So as one of the questions I was saying earlier is, in my little monologue, did he lose it too quickly? I believe he did. Was it safe? Not really sure what he did. I couldn't find anywhere online where he said what he did. We can infer it involves some kind of crazy cutting of calories. He didn't say exactly how he did it, but again, we can infer things. Don't think he did it the right way. Definitely don't think he's doing it the right way going forward based on trying to lose 60 pounds in 3 months, right? Will he keep it off? Based on the past history and what he's doing now, I would say no. Because as he's losing all this weight, he's crushing his metabolism, right? So eventually, it's going to be a point where when he eventually starts to eat food again, because you can't starve yourself indefinitely, or you can't diet forever. Nobody can do this. Nobody. When there's lower metabolism, as he starts to eat again, the weight's just going to come back up, unfortunately. And the quarantine did hurt him like it's hurt many of us. He was just eating and eating with nothing to do, which is ironic because the quarantine was a great time if you were overweight to lose weight. You had nothing to do, just go outside and walk. Yeah, there were no gyms open, that's true. Or do some exercises at home. You don't have equipment, you can do push-ups, anything, right? Just move, be active. Most likely your grandparents were slim, lean, and they weren't going to the gym back in the day. They might have had desk jobs or what have you. Just keep checking the chat here. So it's an interesting dilemma he finds himself in, right? Because it has to be hurting his acting career, which somebody mentioned in the chat earlier. So it begs the question, how else will he be hurting? As a matter of fact, technically would save money as well, because when he got kicked off that flight, he would normally take first class. He was actually on his way to film in a movie. So he normally would do first class. I mean, I remember when I lost all that weight, I was so happy that economy seats. To give you perspective, I used to have to take my wallet out of my pocket, my phones out of my pocket, just to be comfortable in the regular economy seat, right? And I'd happily would get those free upgrades. But then once I lost the weight, I could comfortable fit in an economy seat. Didn't have to take my wallet out, phones out of my pocket. It was almost like I was upgraded, right? And of course, the tickets are cheaper. And he talks about he lives in California, wants to go to the beach with a tank top. And, it's hard when you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, right? Trying to be covered up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And interestingly, another thing, I looked at pictures of him when he was the 550, right? He clearly looked really big. But when he is shrunk to 400, it's like a good looking 400. I don't know how else to put it. I was shocked when he said 400 because he does not look like 400 now. Does not look like 400. As a matter of fact, if I bring this up on the screen, let me share my screen and show you guys a picture so you can see what I mean. Of course, the height is definitely helping him, right? Okay, I got to make this be one of the Chrome tabs. Yeah, this is like the best looking 400 I think I could think of seeing, because I would have never guessed this individual was 400 pounds looking at this photograph. And I think ironically, that may be something that hurts him, right? Because if you don't look like you need to lose a lot of weight, then what motivation do you have to lose said weight, right? It's going to be problematic for you. Definitely problematic for you. All right, so we're sharing that. Let's see. Is that popped up yet? Yep, it's finally popped up. Okay, so you guys should be able to see this. On the left, he's 550 or 559. On the right, he's like 400, right? Or a little over 400, which is crazy. Does not look that big on the right. Again, he's very tall, but I could see how losing this much psychologically could make somebody think, I look so much better, I'm good, and then unfortunately you revert back, right, and put the weight on again. Then it becomes a vicious cycle. A vicious cycle. Oh, so we got somebody backstage. Let me bring up. Hello.
Hi. Hello, Coach Kirk. How are you? Can you hear me?
Okay, I don't know if you're speaking, but I can't hear you. I know you're not muted on my end.
Okay, I am. Hold on one second. I'm on AirPods. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Nope, can't hear you. But in the meantime, while you get your mic sorted out,
Okay.
bring up another comment. Many women believe that they'll get bulky from lifting weights. It's a myth. You should do a show on it. Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea. It is a myth. A lot of women are afraid of lifting weights. That's true. That's a good idea. Thanks.
Can you hear me now, Coach
Jen
Kirk?
from the Positive Therapist. The pandemic has pushed many people into depression. When you are in that state, there's no desire to do anything. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you again. So, technical difficulty on my part. I had muted my computer. Go figure. Thankfully, somebody sent me a message saying they can hear you just fine.
Awesome.
Thanks. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to make a comment and gather some conversation amongst the viewers.
Okay.
500 pounds seems like such a very large amount of weight for a human being.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, how socially acceptable it was in his circle to be that big, and just how socially acceptable it is for a man, especially a black man, to be that size and for everybody to overlook that. Someone close to him had to have been concerned about his health. I want to know, like, did his medical provider have something to say about that? Because that is, to me, 500 pounds is unacceptable, right? Like, if my significant other or my brother came to me and said, hey, I weigh 500 pounds, I would go to them and say, you need to do something about that now. We need to have an intervention. So I just want to get everybody's perspective regarding that.
No, that's a great point. And it's actually even more than 5. He got up to 559, actually. And most recently it was 550. So, yeah, it's even more than 500, right? He's very tall, 6'8". So I think that could because he's going to look like a big offensive lineman, basically, for the NFL. So some people might have thought that perhaps he's an athlete. I would for sure his doctor must have told him, hey, you got to do something with weight, right? Because that's not healthy. I'm pretty sure somebody did that. But as in many cases, health is usually not the reason somebody transforms. It didn't work on me. Doctor told me to lose weight for years. That didn't really do anything. I think for a lot of people, you do have to find that deeper why. Maybe just want to look better. That's also not enough. You also need to do more things just to look better. Like, for example, being kicked off the plane. Or I interviewed this lady at 150 pounds. She was embarrassed not being able to fit in the boots at restaurants, right? Or being sweaty all the time, even when it was winter. It's freezing. So you got to find that deeper why, so to speak. But you're right. They definitely needed an intervention, so to speak. And it definitely had to have impacted his career. You have to have limited the roles he could play, right? He's very tall, and at that size, there's only so many roles you're going to get, I would assume, in Hollywood.
Right. Like, I mean, what do you think?
Gotcha. So one of the viewers had a comment on your question. Positive Therapist says those conversations are very difficult to have. The elders had zero issue saying, oh, hell no, you're fat. It's not cute and you need to do something. Okay. Yeah. And part of the problem now is with everybody's gotten bigger, for lack of a better word. So fat isn't what it used to be. And then we have body positivity, which is good in some ways, but then negative, bad in other ways, in my opinion, right? Because if, for example, that lady again I interviewed, she believed in body positivity, but she pointed out that, but not when you're unhealthy. And she herself was unhealthy. That's why she lost 150 pounds, which is like a whole human, right? So that's a big thing right there. Shout out to Igwe with a super chat. Great point. I think if you were white, the white community would have made it more aware that this weight was unacceptable. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. It's more socially acceptable. Can't speak to this. It's more socially acceptable to be very big in the black community. That is true. In most cultures, being very huge is not socially acceptable. I remember a friend of mine from China who lived in America, and by most standards should be very slim, but she said back home, when she would go back home, they would say she's fat. Right? Because it's a different kind of slim back in her hometown in China, she was telling me. And by most people's standards, she'd be slim, bordering on skinny. So, but she said when she'd go back home, they'd get on her case about her weight. So yeah, there's a cultural aspect to it as well, for sure.
Yeah, so I always say this, especially when I see people like women on Instagram and they're like body positive, but the clothes don't look right on them. I always ask, where are your friends, right?
Yes.
So where so where are the people who are going to hold you accountable? And I know, like, my grandmother, before she died, like, she would like always check me at the door, and she would always say, no, you don't look good in that, or you're getting too fat.
Yeah.
Like, where are those people? Like, we need those people in our lives to give us a reality check.
Right. No, you're right. Because who knows if the fame might have warped things. You know, you're famous. People may look at you differently just because you're famous. They may overlook certain things. So maybe those people in his circle were overlooking that because of his fame, right? That might have been a factor. Or again, it's an uncomfortable discussion to have, as a positive therapist mentioned. So I mean, some people are just not going to say anything, right? They just want to. It's awkward. Yeah, I guess that's why you said you'd have to be an intervention, let's say.
Yeah, but we need those types of people in our life that will have those awkward conversations with us. Sometimes we're warped by our own reality, and sometimes we don't even know we are that big. I know when before I lost all the weight, I didn't think I was that big until now I look back at it and I'm like, oh my God, you were so fat. Like, sometimes we need those reality checks. We need those people in our life.
Yes, you're right. It's very insidious. You just slowly but surely buy bigger size clothing. Go from medium to large to extra large, from large to double extra large. Yeah, I remember when I was shrinking, the tailor afterward told me it's a waste of money to alter the clothes I'm wearing. Just buy. He says it'd be like he's stealing my money. Just buy new clothing. Yeah, it's very slowly just creeps up on you, and you just slowly adapt by buying bigger clothing, right?
Yeah,
You
you
get
do.
size your figure, right?
You definitely do. Or you get something stretchy, or you just like you have to have that reality check. I was like, where were my friends?
Yeah.
Where were my friends when I look like this? Like,
I guess they were afraid to say anything.
right. But yeah, it's yeah, we have to get past that, especially as a community. And we often have conversations, my friends and I have conversations about this sometimes, but it's not cute. It's not healthy being that big. It's not good for your future. It's not good for you professionally. It's not good for you overall. Being thick, what like we like to call it in the Black community, being thick is something that is it's something that is awarded. It's something that's ideal, but it's not healthy.
No, agreed. Definitely. The positive therapist points out they don't have real friends. That might be
I
another
agree.
thing. Yeah. That may be another thing. I mean, famous, successful, and yeah, you could attract people who just want to tell you what you want to hear, right? Could be those kinds of people. The yes men and the yes women, so to speak. They agree with anything they say. Because that's a great point. Where are their friends to tell them, hey man, you're getting a bit too big, right? Our family member, So that's that's a pretty good point. Pretty good point. I'm surprised by that now that I think about it.
Yeah, like my grandma was that person. She didn't care how I felt. Like, she was just gonna she gave me a dose of my medicine every time she saw me. So
Right.
we
Yeah,
need a dose of medicine.
yes, it's a positive therapist said this, right? Your elders would just tell you how it is, but yeah, maybe he didn't have those people around him, right? So I mean, he did do a good thing with getting a trainer, but the question I have with this trainer is, I assume the trainer had something to do with his diet. So I'm surprised. Well, actually, I'm surprised. I'm disappointed rather that his trainer had him losing that much weight that quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely not a good thing, right? Definitely not a good thing at all. Definitely not a good thing.
Right. And being under your coaching, you always advise that, at least 1 to 2 pounds per week, and losing
Mhm.
that weight so rapidly, um, it again is not healthy. And I know from the
Nope.
past experiences, what we saw from The Biggest Loser, you lose that weight that fast, you're gonna gain it back plus some,
Yeah. Nope.
and
Agreed. Agreed.
and as a professional, seeing how the gentleman was that size, that's something that she should have considered.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, to show how out of control he got, he would start off his morning by eating 2 jumbo-sized packs of Kit Kats, right? And 2 Reese's packs. That's the entire pack. It's a gazillion grams of, it's a
Yeah,
gazillion
that's a lot of
calories right
sugar
there.
and
Yeah,
fat.
yeah. That did, as you said, to kickstart his morning, and then he would just continue like that throughout the day. So that's definitely, yeah, very out of control, so to speak. Yeah, he cut out the candy bars and bread, and he's doing a combination of keto and fasting and a lot of
Mm.
salads. That's kind of the salad things caught my attention as somewhat concerning, because I know a lot of people tend to run to salads thinking, oh, I'll just eat salads, and it fills them up and they think it's great. But yeah, you
Yeah, I
probably
did
can't
that
eat
when I
salad.
first started. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's doing this thing called a Cobb salad, which is chopped chicken or turkey, tomatoes, bacon, hard potatoes, blue cheese, lettuce, and dressed with a vinaigrette. Now, if he's not getting enough calories from that, which I'm pretty sure he's not based on how much weight he lost, then that over time is going to be a problem, right?
Hmm.
That's definitely going to be a problem because he's in the extreme weight loss phase for like a long period of time, which you don't want to do. You don't want to do that. That's no bueno. And you can't eat Cobb salads for the rest of your life, right? Because right now, from based on what he says he's doing, he's really restricting the kinds of things he eats.
Right,
Works,
right.
but it's not sustainable, right? If you say I'm never going to eat pizza, I'm never going to eat chocolate, I'm never going to eat ribs or whatever it is that you have, it's going to be problematic at the end of the day because eventually you're going to binge, you're going to snap. It's like torture. Nobody can withstand torture forever. There's no.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, eventually that's
And
going to become problematic.
and eating a salad every day could get boring, especially the same salad.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. So right now he's relying on willpower, and you can't rely on willpower, man. That's you're going to give in eventually.
Yep,
Eventually, you're going
you
to give
sure.
in. It's just a matter of time. Then you're gonna go binging, and then you beat yourself up, and this vicious cycle continues where you beat yourself up, and you're like, I'm a failure, and these kinds of things. So yeah, no bueno on that. No bueno on that. So this wasn't breakfast. That was junk food from the positive therapist. That is correct. That is correct. That wasn't breakfast. That was it was straight up junk food. You're correct. That's just sugar, sugar and fat, right? Just pure carbs and fat. That's what he was doing. No bueno right there. Yeah, that's no good, no good, no good.
I'm wondering, because he ate that in the morning, did it give him like a sugar rush or a sugar high or some energy to get doing what he needed to do throughout the day to get his day started?
No, that's not what he said. He said that was just to eat it, basically. Just wanted to eat it. I mean, sometimes we can get in these self-destructive behaviors, right? Because I know that you something, you eat something, you know you shouldn't eat it, or you drink something you know you shouldn't drink, then you feel bad after, the guilt, etc. But it gets to a point where you think you've screwed up so much, you're like, the heck with it, and then you just go off the rails, basically. You go on tilt, or you go on a bender. Don't There's different phrases to describe this thing. And yeah, we got a
Okay.
bunch of people in there. So remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Please do. Hit the like and subscribe button and share with your friends. This coming Wednesday, I have a pretty exciting show. I'm going to interview one of these trainers to the stars. Like he's trained Matt Damon, LeBron James. He's the last protege of Angelo Dundee. That's the guy who trained Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. He's a pretty cool guy. He's trained some NFL players as well. Some other celebrities like CEOs. Yeah, so he has a ton of cool stories. That will be a very good show on Wednesday for sure. This is a pretty good comment by Igwe's daughter. Yes, that sounds like binging with a tinge of depression. Yeah, that might have been going on there because he doesn't really get into the why he was doing it. He just said this is what he was doing, but that does sound like you're compensating for something, right? You're masking a problem or you're dealing with pain by eating. It definitely sounds like that. That's a good point. And again, if you guys want to come on the show, the link's in the comments about how to get here. I'll post it again. Or I should say, if you want to come backstage. And come up here. You can keep the camera off if you like, or turn it on if you're not camera shy. And I think discussing this other thing, we can all learn from this because everything I found just showed him being praised for all this weight he's lost. Like nobody's questioning how quickly he lost it. Is that sustainable? Let us say he's eating Cobb salads and cut-out cookies and snacks like that, but they don't. It's like a surface level analysis of the situation, which is unfortunate. Because then it would be a good opportunity to help a lot of other people, right? So that would be good. So again, let me know what you think in the comments about this. We've had some good comments so far, some good thoughts, good questions. It's an interesting story. Will he keep it off? Or will he revert back, right? Because for sure, the better way to do would be to, do something where it's like 1 or 2 pounds a week. And again, he has a trainer. But from some of the videos I saw of what the trainer had him doing, it does. Some of this is good, but he's, I don't know what the right word to say, but almost gimmicky in a sense, which is what, like trainers, a lot of trainers have this urge to have you do things that makes you feel like you're doing something unique, right? Doing something super cool, right? But unfortunately, it's not super cool. Like he's doing rowing and et cetera like that, which is some intense cardio for sure. I see him doing planks. Sure, that helps your core, but that's not necessary, right? To lose weight. And he's doing the battle ropes thing. He's blah, 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 blah. He's doing bear crawls. That is not, that's not optimal. And he's pushing the sled. Again, very hard to do, sweating like crazy. But that's not the most effective way to lose weight. And based on how painful that is, you're increasing the odds of the person quitting, right? You could be getting similar benefits with some steady state cardio, lifting weights, and it wouldn't be nowhere near as painful, and it'd be easier for him to keep doing it as well. But again, trainers have a desire to give you unique things to do. So you're getting a good sweat, you feel you're getting your money's worth, or you're doing unique, cool stuff that nobody else is doing. But you should ask yourself, if what you're doing, nobody else is doing, why is that, right? If you look around the gym, I always tell friends, look at where all the hottest guys, hottest women are in the gym. And if they're not doing what this trainer has you doing, then it's probably nonsense, right? Or not nonsense, probably not optimal, let's say. Or you can ask the trainer themselves if they look good, if he or she looks good, why are they, or do they do what they're telling you to do? Is that their workout routine? Most likely it isn't, right? Most likely it isn't. But again, it looks cool. You feel you're doing something because you're sweating like crazy. But again, does somebody who's 400 pounds need to be crawling on the ground? Do they need to be doing planks to lose weight? Pushing a sled? I mean, he's not a professional athlete, right? That stuff, if you're some weekend warrior in some kind of competitive sport, then maybe you do stuff like that. But just to lose weight, there's no need to do that. You increase the risk of injury, right? At that weight, he's doing bear crawls while he's sweating. Form breaks down, he tweaks something, twists something. Again, that's not necessary to be pushing a sled, right? That's the kind of thing you'll see NFL players doing, or CrossFit athletes. Again, or throwing the medicine ball down. Again, not necessary. Not necessary at all. Especially for somebody that size. You could easily pull something. And yeah, hurt yourself, you can't train, right? So that's definitely no bueno there at all. Yeah, it was interesting watching these workouts that he was in. I was like, yeah, bad memories of seeing this kind of stuff in gyms with trainers, right? I remember my third coach telling me, never pay a trainer to do cardio. Never do that. It's a gigantic waste of your money. You can do cardio on your own. Some people are like, oh, but I want them to motivate me. Yeah, you can do cardio on your own. It's a waste of your money to pay somebody to watch you do cardio or to scream at you or to tell you, yes, you can do it, you can do it. But that stuff is popular, super popular, but not terribly effective. It's kind of a waste of your money. They should be helping you to exercise form and other things of that nature. That's what they should be helping you with. See, the positive therapist, that's all people are doing these days, from trainers who themselves don't know what they're doing. The workout of an NFL athlete is brutal. Yes, that's a great point. It is brutal. Why would you need to suffer through this? I mean, I remember being in the gym doing, say, on the Stairmaster. I put that thing to like level 1 or 2, right? And I'll see somebody beside me killing it, level 5, 6, whatever, and they're going, and they're drenched in sweat, and they're on forever. And if you saw them on the street, it wouldn't even look like they work out. And I'm like, either they can't do it long enough, or they're just killing themselves doing it, right? And I'm just there. I'll sweat for sure, a good amount of sweat, but I'm not killing myself. I'm on there for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most, right? It's just not necessary. And of course, now you increase the risk of non-compliance, because the person who thinks to themselves, man, I got to go on this damn machine for an hour. Eventually, they're going to be like, I'm busy. I don't want to be on it for an hour. 20, 30 minutes at a moderate pace or even a slow pace is much more easy to comply with. It's an easier program to comply with, right? Much easier to comply with. All right. Thanks for agreeing with me there. Never pay a trainer to do cardio. That is correct. Yep. This point goes back to weightlifting. Many people don't comprehend the best way to lose weight is to build muscle. Again, the myth of weight loss. So true. I mean, lifting weights has so much, it's proven to be more effective than cardio. Granted, the optimal ways to use lifting weights and cardio, you put them together, right? You get this synergy going. But if you have to pick one, pick lifting weights. Building muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, right? Creates a more thermic effect than fat, right? And there's a knock-on effect. For example, you do heavy squats, deadlifts. It's shown that you have all these benefits the next day, right? Boost testosterone levels, ramp up your metabolism. The list goes on and on. Of course, it builds muscle, right? Just think of all the very strong people you see in a gym. They usually look good. That's not an accident. Whereas you could see somebody who, you've probably seen this, you know people like this. They run a ton every week. They run. But if you think to yourself, if I saw this guy or this woman on the street, would I even know they exercise? You may just think they're a regular person, but think of the miles they log. They run 4, 5, 6 times a week, couple miles. But if you look at them, they don't even look like they work out, or they just look regular. think of all the suffering that person is going through, right? The time commitment they're doing to just not look like they're working out. And then they get frustrated with this, right? And they think, oh, I need to do more cardio. Insanity. Insanity. They're just making a bad situation worse. Bad situation worse. They need to get in the gym and lift some weights. That's what they need to do. Get in the gym to lift some weights. It's unfortunate a lot of people don't know this. Again, it's easy to just go on the elliptical machine or the treadmill, but it's the least effective thing to do. If you want effective, you got to lift weights. Lift weights, build muscle. That's the way to go about doing it. Got to build that muscle. Build that metabolic currency. That's what you got to do. Well, I think we pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover today. So, unless you guys anybody else wants to come up, I think we're going to call it a day. Just wanted to make a couple points regarding that gentleman and his weight loss, right? Whether it was the right way or the wrong way, what he's going to do, keep it off or not. So, again, thanks for tuning in today. See you guys at the next show. And remember, on Wednesday, we'll definitely have a pretty good show with the Train the Trainer, the Stars to the Trainer, Matt Biamonte. That's going to be a pretty good show. So, again, have a wonderful Sunday evening, guys.